Hello guys, how you doing today? Today we're going to start out with my new apron sent to me by my nephew James. We're going to make some short ribs today. And as you can see, these are some beautiful short ribs, nice, meaty. If there's a big layer of fat on them, I just trim some of that fat off because our sauce in the end will be too oily if we leave all that fat on. So what we're going to do here is, I got a nice Dutch oven here that I'm going to heat up. Got some olive oil in here. We're going to get this nice and hot, and then we're going to sear these off. So the very simple ingredients in this. We got short ribs, salt, pepper, beef stock, a bottle of Cabernet, and some garlic. This is, I do short ribs many ways. This is very easy, very simple, and a little bit of tomato paste. And they come out unbelievable. So we're going to salt and pepper these up really good. You want to salt these up really good. And as always, anytime you're browning any kind of meat, you want the meat to be dried off. Paper towels, dried off. You don't want that moisture on there because that moisture is going to steam and you're not going to get nice browned pieces of meat. You're going to get steamed pieces of meat. So that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for a nice browned. Season all sides very well. All right, we're going to just roll these around, get all the other sides. Get the salt and pepper on the board. And now, depending on how big your pan is, you don't want to overcrowd the pan, because if you overcrowd the pan, they won't sear right either. So we're going to put these in. Nice hot pan here, that oil sizzling in there. All that's in there is a couple tablespoons of olive oil. So I'm just going to do 3 for now. And I'll throw the other 2 in. These are big, so you figure on, I figure 1 per person, because we're going to do this, I'm going to serve this with polenta and the gravy. So you're going to have the short ribs with the polenta and the gravy. And I'm also going to throw some mushrooms over the top that I'm going to show you how to do later. So these are just going to sear off for maybe 10 minutes. You want to get them nice and brown. I'll show you when we come back how you want these to be, and then we'll go to the next step. Okay, so we're going to cut away for a minute. See you in a few minutes. So we're back, and we have these short ribs nice and caramelized. I want you to see just how nice and browned up they are. This took about 15, 18 minutes, but you want to get them very nice and caramelized. That's what gives this the wonderful flavor. So now that we got these done, we're just going to add a tablespoon of tomato paste. Now, whenever you use tomato paste, you just got to brown it off just a little bit in here. Just fry it off for a minute, and that'll take the rawness flavor out of it. So I make a little hole in the middle and just fry that off a little bit. That looks good. Now we're going to add to this a whole head of garlic cut in half. Jam that right in there. Push it down on the bottom. Make a little room here. Put the other one in. Jam that down on the bottom. Don't worry about the paper on the garlic or anything. We're going to strain this sauce out later. Now you can crank the heat up to high. Get it going. And this is a bottle of Cabernet Sauvignon. Any kind is good. You don't have to use anything particularly expensive. This is like a $10 bottle of Cabernet. And we're going to put this whole bottle right in there. Heat's on high now. Okay, so we're going to bring this to a boil. We're going to let it continue to boil until it's reduced about half. So you can see it's about halfway up the ribs right now. So we're going to let it cook until it goes down about an inch. So while this is going, I just want to explain to you, these Dutch ovens, I know everyone doesn't have one of these. you know, they're an investment, but they last a lifetime. These Le Creuset are absolutely wonderful. But if you don't have one of these, it's not a big deal. You could do it in a regular cast iron pan. You could do it in a stainless steel pot, or you could just do it in a plain roasting pan. But it's got to be something that could go in the oven. Because I got the oven here. The oven is on about 330, 335 degrees. And what we're going to do here is, once this simmers down, I'm going to give it a little bit of beef stock. I'm going to put the lid on, and this is going to go right in the oven, and it's going to braise in the oven for about 3 hours or so. And every maybe half hour, 45 minutes, just going to take it out, and just baste a little bit of the sauce over the top. Now, once this reduces by half, we're going to add some beef stock to it. And when you add the beef stock to it, you just want to leave the tops of the short ribs sticking out. You don't want them underneath the braising liquid. Because if it's underneath the braising liquid, you're not braising, you're boiling. The point of braising is for everything to happen underneath, hit the top of the pan, and then come down on top of the food. So we're going to let this reduce down, and then we're going to come back. I'm going to show you about how much beef stock to add to this, and then we're just going to put the lid in, and this is going to go right in the oven. And this is a very, very simple recipe. I've done it a million times. It's so easy to make, and it's absolutely wonderful. So we'll come back once this reduces down and continue on. Okay, guys, we're back. This has been reducing. Now take a look in the pot here. I reduced this down by half, as you can see, and that that wine is concentrating with that garlic flavor. It smells unbelievable in here. So now what we're going to do is we're going to add some beef stock to this. And we're going to keep the heat up. I probably reduced that down for, about 15, 18 minutes. This is just regular beef stock. So what we're going to do here is we want to add enough to just keep the tops of these out of the liquid. That looks pretty good to me. So that was probably about a little less than a quart. And I'll add a little bit, I'll have a little bit on the side. Add a hair more. I add a little bit on the side just in case we need to add a little later if it starts going down too quick. So now we're going to want to bring this back up to the boil. Once we get it back up to the boil, we're just going to put the lid on, and we're going to put this right in the oven. I have this like 330 degrees, 325. You just want this to just simmer nice and easy in there, just braise. You'll check it every half an hour or so, baste a little bit on top of the meat, and that's it. So we're just going to get this back up to a boil. I was trying to go over the ingredients again, what we used so far. I have, these are 5 short ribs here, probably about 2.5 pounds of short ribs. We have 4 people for dinner tonight, so there's probably going to be 1 extra, which will most likely go to the chef. So we have the short ribs. We have 1 bottle of Cabernet. We have about a quart of beef stock and 1 whole head of garlic, salt and pepper. That's it. Very, very simple. So I'm going to bring this back up to the boil. Once I get it back up to the boil, I'm going to get my lid on, and we're going to get this in the oven. Probably about 3 hours it's going to stay in the oven. So we'll get back to you and show you how we're going to finish this up. Okay, guys, we're back. It's been about 4 hours since we put our short ribs in. They're ready to come out of the oven. And I'm going to show you how we're going to finish this up. Okay, look at that. So what we're going to do, look how tender these are. They're going to fall right apart. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take these out of here. You got to go nice and easy because they'll just fall right apart. What we're going to do is we're going to, all that garlic that's in there, we're going to just mash those cloves of garlic open, and then we're going to just strain this sauce off. I'm going to use it over the top. And then we're going to serve this with polenta and some mushrooms. And the mushrooms are just pancetta. Saute up a little bit of pancetta. And here's the bone from that one. A little bit of pancetta. And throw the mushrooms right in with the pancetta. And put that bone right back where it was. Okay, now we're going to, we have all this garlic in here. That roasted in here and braised in here. I'm just going to get some of that garlic. We're going to mash it up on the side of the pot a little bit here. If you think you have a little too much fat in here, which it doesn't look like we do, you can separate some of that out. So now I'm going to strain this through a strainer just to get all the cloves of garlic out. Look at that. Okay, that looks good. Watch out, huh? Put that over here out of the way. Now I'm just going to take a spoon. I'm just going to mash that garlic right through the strainer. Beautiful. Okay, so now to me, this looks fantastic. What I'm going to do is I want to just thicken it up just a hair. So I'm going to put it back on the burner. I'm going to cook it for a minute. I'm just going to get a little bit of cornstarch. And we're just going to thicken this up just a hair. So all we're going to do is take a little bit of water, maybe a tablespoon of water, maybe 2 tablespoons of water. Throw a little cornstarch in here. Maybe a teaspoon, heaping teaspoon of cornstarch. Put that right in there. Just mix that up. Make a little bit of a slurry. Bring the sauce up to a boil. If you think it's thick enough, that's fine. This is a step that you don't have to do. I want it just a hair thicker. I'm just going to pour that right in. This is going to come to a boil. It's going to thicken that right up. Just enough. Cover these. I'm going to serve this family style. Okay, so these are the mushrooms. I just cut some pancetta into lardons, fried them up, then just threw these are baby bella mushrooms that I quartered. I'm not a big fan of white mushrooms because white mushrooms really don't have a lot of flavor. So while this is thickening up a little bit, our sauce is getting there. Let me show you what we have here. So we have our polenta. I have this all cooked. What we're going to do is now we're going to finish the polenta off. So here's your polenta. Polenta is generally 1 cup of medium cornmeal and 4 cups of water. So it's 4 to 1 ratio. So we're going to throw a couple hunks of butter in here. Maybe 2 tablespoons of butter. This was about a cup of polenta and 4 cups of water. So we're just going to stir that in. Let that melt into there. While that's going on here, this is about 3/4 of a cup of freshly grated Parmigiano Reggiano. We're going to dump that right into the polenta. Now we're just going to stir this through. And this is what we're going to serve underneath our short ribs and Cabernet. Does not look good. Nice and creamy. You could serve this on mashed potatoes. Whatever you like. You could even do it on noodles if you wanted to. I was brought up on polenta, So I like to go with polenta. This is just a sauce. It's not as much as a gravy. And you're going to have a bunch of this left over. So the leftover sauce that you have will be great for another recipe, or if you're making mashed potatoes during the week or whatnot. Now we're just going to cut for a second and let this thicken up. We'll be back in about 3-4 minutes. Guys, we're back. See, we got the gravy just thickened up just enough. That's all you want. It doesn't have to be real thick. I'm just going to finish this off and show you how we're going to do that. We're just going to ladle off some of this gravy right on top of these. And we're going to serve it with the gravy on the side with our polenta. Just going to do this family style. These are mushrooms and pancetta. To the mushrooms and pancetta, I want to add one thing before I forget. Just a little bit of fresh thyme. Gives it a nice flavor. Just a couple sprigs to do. Okay, now we're just going to put this right on top. The gravy. A little bit of fresh parsley. And there you have it. Short ribs and a Cabernet with pancetta mushrooms. And we're going to serve that over the Parmigiano polenta. We can make up a plate. I grew up eating polenta. And you either love it or you don't. I love it, personally. There you go. There you have it. Dinner served.